Imagine a time when the known world trembled before the might of Rome. From the sun-drenched shores of North Africa to the mist-shrouded isles of Britain, the Roman Empire stood as a beacon of power and prosperity. Its legions, renowned for their discipline and valor, marched across continents, conquering all who dared oppose them. Within its borders, a vibrant tapestry of cultures and languages thrived under the rule of law. Roads, aqueducts, and grand cities, testaments to Roman ingenuity, crisscrossed the empire, connecting its far-flung corners. This was the Roman Empire at its zenith, a civilization that had reached the pinnacle of its power. Its emperors, revered as living gods, presided over a golden age of peace and prosperity. The Pax Romana, a period of unprecedented tranquility, reigned supreme, allowing trade and culture to flourish. It seemed as though the Roman Empire, like an unyielding colossus, would endure for eternity. But even the mightiest empires are not immune to the ravages of time. The seeds of decline, often sown in the midst of prosperity, were already taking root, threatening to topple the Roman colossus from its pedestal. The 3rd century AD marked a turning point in Roman history, a period when the empire faced a confluence of crises that would shake its foundations to the core. The 3rd century AD brought with it a period of turmoil and instability that would forever alter the course of Roman history. The Roman Empire, once a beacon of stability and power, found itself grappling with unprecedented challenges. This era, aptly known as the crisis of the 3rd century, saw the once invincible Roman Empire teetering on the brink of collapse. The empire, which had stood strong for centuries, was now facing a multitude of crises that seemed insurmountable. A perfect storm of internal strife and external threats converged, threatening to tear the empire apart from within and without. The internal strife was marked by political instability, economic decline, and social upheaval, while external threats came from barbarian invasions and pressures on the frontiers. At the heart of this crisis lay a series of disastrous military defeats and internal rebellions. The Roman legions, once the pride of the empire, were now struggling to maintain control and order. These defeats not only weakened the military, but also shattered the morale of the Roman people. Roman legions, once the undisputed masters of the battlefield, found themselves hard-pressed to contain the growing threats from both within and beyond the empire's borders. The legions were stretched thin, fighting on multiple fronts, and facing enemies who were becoming increasingly bold and organized. Ambitious generals, vying for power, plunged the empire into a cycle of civil wars, each conflict further weakening the empire's already strained resources. These power struggles were not just about control, but also about survival, as each general sought to secure their own position in a rapidly changing political landscape. This period of instability led to a rapid succession of emperors, many of whom met with untimely and often violent ends. The position of emperor, once a symbol of supreme authority and stability, became a dangerous and precarious role, with each new ruler facing immediate threats to their power and life. The once revered position of emperor, once a symbol of supreme authority, became little more than a pawn in the hands of ambitious generals and power-hungry senators. The political intrigue and manipulation within the Roman Senate further destabilized the empire, as alliances were formed and broken with alarming frequency. With each new emperor, the empire descended further into chaos, its once solid foundations crumbling beneath the weight of its own internal strife. The cities, once bustling centers of commerce and culture, now faced decline and decay, reflecting the broader disintegration of the empire. As the empire grappled with its internal demons, external threats loomed large on the horizon. The Roman military, already weakened by internal conflicts, now had to defend against increasingly aggressive barbarian tribes. Barbarian tribes, sensing weakness in the Roman state, grew bolder in their attacks, testing the empire's defenses along its vast frontiers. These tribes, including the Goths, Vandals, and Franks, saw an opportunity to carve out their own territories from the once mighty Roman Empire. The stage was set for a clash of civilizations, a struggle for survival that would determine the fate of the Roman world. The outcome of this tumultuous period would shape the future of Europe and the Mediterranean for centuries to come, as the Roman Empire fought to preserve its legacy against overwhelming odds. Beyond the empire's borders, a new force was emerging, one that would play a pivotal role in Rome's downfall. Barbarian tribes, often driven by pressure from other migrating groups or enticed by the wealth of the Roman Empire, began to exert increasing pressure on the empire's frontiers. These were not mere raiders seeking plunder, but entire populations on the move, searching for new lands to settle and a place within the Roman world. Among the most formidable of these barbarian groups were the Visigoths, a Germanic people who had been displaced from their homelands by the Huns, a fierce nomadic tribe from the east. The Visigoths, seeking refuge within the Roman Empire, were initially granted permission to settle in the Balkans. However, Roman mistreatment and broken promises led to resentment, culminating in the Battle of Adrianople in 378 AD. This battle, a crushing defeat for the Romans, sent shockwaves throughout the empire. The Visigoths, led by the cunning Alaric, had decisively defeated a Roman army, killing the Eastern Roman Emperor Valens on the battlefield. Adrianople marked a turning point, exposing the vulnerability of the once mighty Roman legions and emboldening other barbarian groups to test the empire's weakening defenses. The Vandals, another Germanic tribe, followed in the footsteps of the Visigoths, wreaking havoc across the Western Roman Empire. They rampaged through Gaul or modern-day France and eventually crossed into North Africa, where they established a powerful kingdom centered on the city of Carthage. The Vandals, known for their ruthlessness, would forever be associated with wanton destruction, their very name becoming synonymous with vandalism. The pressure from these external forces was relentless. The Huns, under the leadership of Attila, also played a significant role in destabilizing the Roman Empire. Known as the Scourge of God, Attila's Huns swept across Europe, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. Their fearsome reputation preceded them, causing panic and chaos wherever they went. The Huns' incursions forced many other tribes, such as the Goths, Vandals, and Franks, to move into Roman territories, seeking safety and new lands to inhabit. This massive movement of peoples, known as the Migration Period or the Barbarian Invasions, significantly altered the demographic and political landscape of the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, already weakened by internal strife, economic troubles, and political corruption, found it increasingly difficult to repel these invasions. The once formidable Roman legions were stretched thin, defending vast borders against multiple threats. The empire's resources were drained, and its ability to maintain control over its territories waned. The relationship between the Romans and the barbarian groups was complex. While some tribes sought peaceful coexistence and integration into the Roman world, others were driven by desperation and conflict. The Romans often employed barbarian mercenaries to bolster their armies, but this strategy sometimes backfired, as these mercenaries could turn against their employers. The Battle of Adrianople was a stark reminder of the shifting power dynamics. The defeat not only demonstrated the military prowess of the Visigoths, but also highlighted the declining strength of the Roman Empire. It was a harbinger of the turbulent times to come, as more barbarian groups would continue to press against the Roman frontiers. The fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD is often attributed to the cumulative effect of these external pressures. The relentless invasions, combined with internal decay, led to the eventual collapse of one of history's greatest empires. The legacy of the Roman Empire, however, would live on, influencing countless generations and shaping the course of Western civilization. The story of Rome's fall is a testament to the complex interplay of internal and external forces. It serves as a reminder of the impermanence of even the mightiest of empires and the ever-changing nature of history. As we reflect on this period, we gain insights into the challenges faced by civilizations and the resilience required to navigate through times of upheaval. The fall of Rome is not just a story of decline, but also a narrative of transformation and adaptation. The barbarian invasions, while destructive, also paved the way for the emergence of new cultures and societies. The blending of Roman and barbarian traditions would eventually give rise to the medieval world, setting the stage for the development of modern Europe. The Vandals, another Germanic tribe, followed in the footsteps of the Visigoths, wreaking havoc across the Western Roman Empire. They rampaged through Gaul, or modern-day France, and eventually crossed into North Africa, where they established a powerful kingdom centered on the city of Carthage. The Vandals, known for their ruthlessness, would forever be associated with wanton destruction, their very name becoming synonymous with vandalism. The Vandals' impact on the Roman Empire was profound. Their sack of Rome in 455 AD was one of the most devastating events in the city's history, symbolizing the empire's vulnerability and the shifting balance of power. The fall of Rome was not a sudden event, but a gradual process influenced by a multitude of factors. The barbarian invasions were a significant part of this process, but they were not the sole cause. The internal weaknesses of the empire, combined with the relentless pressure from external forces, ultimately led to its downfall. The legacy of the Roman Empire, however, would live on, influencing countless generations and shaping the course of Western civilization. The story of Rome's fall is a testament to the complex interplay of internal and external forces. It serves as a reminder of the impermanence of even the mightiest of empires and the ever-changing nature of history. As we reflect on this period, we gain insights into the challenges faced by civilizations and the resilience required to navigate through times of upheaval. The fall of Rome is not just a story of decline, but also a narrative of transformation and adaptation. The barbarian invasions, while destructive, also paved the way for the emergence of new cultures and societies. The blending of Roman and barbarian traditions would eventually give rise to the medieval world, setting the stage for the development of modern Europe, their very name becoming synonymous with vandalism. While barbarian armies hammered at the gates, a more insidious enemy gnawed at the core of the Roman Empire: internal decay. This internal rot was not as visible as the barbarian hordes, but it was just as deadly, if not more so. It crept through the empire like a silent plague, weakening its foundations and making it vulnerable to external threats. Corruption, once a problem confined to the fringes of Roman society, had seeped into the very heart of the empire, infecting every level of government and undermining its institutions. The integrity of the Roman Senate, the very body that was supposed to uphold the values and laws of the empire, was compromised. Officials who were meant to serve the public good were now serving their own interests. Greed and self-interest became the driving forces behind Roman politics. The pursuit of personal gain overshadowed the needs of the state. Wealthy officials flaunted their riches, often obtained through dubious means, while the common people struggled to make ends meet. The disparity between the rich and the poor grew ever wider, creating a society rife with tension and resentment. Senators, once revered for their wisdom and civic duty, now used their positions to amass personal wealth, often at the expense of the common good. Their grand halls and luxurious lifestyles stood in stark contrast to the squalor in which many Roman citizens lived. The very people who were supposed to be the guardians of Roman virtue had become symbols of its decline. Bribery and extortion became commonplace, eroding public trust in the government and fueling a sense of disillusionment among the populace. Citizens began to see their leaders not as protectors, but as predators. Protests and public outcries became more frequent, as the people demanded accountability and justice. The once efficient Roman bureaucracy, responsible for collecting taxes and administering justice, became bogged down in inefficiency and corruption. Administrative offices, once the backbone of the empire's governance, were now plagued by delays and incompetence. Important documents were lost or ignored, and the wheels of government ground to a halt. Tax collectors, often more interested in lining their own pockets than filling the empire's coffers, preyed upon the populace, driving many into poverty. The burden of taxes became unbearable for many, leading to widespread evasion and further reducing the empire's revenue. The very system designed to support the empire was now contributing to its downfall. As the tax burden grew heavier, the incentive to evade taxes increased, further diminishing the empire's already dwindling resources. Merchants and citizens alike sought ways to hide their wealth, engaging in secret trade deals and other illicit activities. The underground economy flourished while the official economy withered. The Roman economy, once the envy of the known world, began to crumble under the weight of corruption, overspending, and declining productivity. Markets that were once bustling with activity now stood empty. Shops closed their doors, unable to sustain their businesses in the face of economic hardship. The vibrancy of Roman commerce was replaced by a bleak and desolate landscape. The once abundant flow of goods and trade that had fueled the empire's prosperity slowed to a trickle, leading to inflation, unemployment, and widespread economic hardship. The scarcity of goods drove prices up, making it difficult for ordinary citizens to afford basic necessities. Long lines for food and other essentials became a common sight as the empire's economic woes deepened. The empire found itself trapped in a vicious cycle of decline, its internal problems exacerbating its external threats and vice versa. As the internal decay weakened the empire, it became more vulnerable to barbarian invasions. Each defeat on the battlefield further eroded the empire's stability, creating a downward spiral from which it could not escape. The once mighty Roman Empire was now a shadow of its former self, struggling to survive in a world that had moved on.